I'm a scientist. I'm curious by nature, but I'm also sometimes naive and blind. I jump into things that most people don't, and I assume that's why I'm here today. I didn't realize there are diseases connected to fame and others to shame, that there exists fashion within medicine which could affect what treatment you will get. Could you and I do something about it? Yes, I think so. It is about death, car accidents, suffering families, and lost childhoods, lost dreams. It is about alcohol addiction, a disease which is so closely connected to shame that most of us do not talk about it at all. Just in a small country like Sweden, 400,000 children are growing up with one or two parents with addiction. And unfortunately, the problem is global. Please close your eyes and think of a person with alcohol addiction. Who do you see? A man, a woman, young, old, poorly dressed, or in a nice suit? How many of you could see someone sitting on this bench, a person that have lost basically everything? I have to admit, I did it too. But why didn't you think of your neighbor, or your mother's best friend, the lady with the tidy house and the strong smell of perfume? Or the father of your daughter's best friend, always driving early Saturday mornings to the football games? Or the daycare personnel taking care of your 3-year-old? According to statistics, they are all there, but we do not talk about it. Why? Could it have to do with shame? Let's do the same exercise again. Please close your eyes and think of a person with some other disease, like diabetes or cardiovascular. Do you still see this bench? I don't think so. I think you then could see your neighbor, the successful manager, or the journalist living in the same village as you. Why do you know it? Yes, we talk about it, right? That means that we in general know what treatments exist, where and how to ask for help. And if new treatments arrive, we will happily share it around the coffee table or hear about it at the news. Over the last 100 years, research in medicine and new technology have given patients and their families new opportunities to live good lives. Hospitals today are well equipped with advanced technology and great knowledge to take care of you in the best manner. And you as a patient expect and demand further improvements. And the professions are proud and constantly try to improve. What research, technology development, and resources do you think the field of addiction have got over the last 100 years? Are they measurement-based, well-equipped? Does anyone ask for further improvements? And what about new innovations? Why not? Could it have to do with shame? I still remember my promotion day when I got my PhD in medicine. You can imagine how proud my family and friends were. As a cancer scientist, you get great attention, questions, discussions, and admiration. I also remember the reaction when I joined the tiny startup focusing at alcohol addiction, and a crazy idea to stop a relapse into addiction already before it occurs. I said it before, I jump into things that most people don't, and I'm sometimes naive. I also turned from fame to shame in my choice of topic. And it was actually for the first time I started to reflect how stigma and shame could grab a whole medical field, realizing that this reflects the research founding, how the professionals looked at themselves and what they asked for, that there were no strong patient organizations. In fact, there were no patient organizations fighting for their rights. That these patients and their family are hiding, often not knowing where and how to ask for help. So how come that I jumped into this crazy idea and this startup? For me, it started with the best pitch ever. I was hooked. Imagine to stop a relapse into addiction already before it occurs, with cool technology like Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and a mobile phone. Being able to help patients whenever they are, 24/7, transform a whole medical field. And what if the gut feeling of really experienced healthcare professional could be caught by data points and algorithms to reveal relapses already before they occur? As a former cancer scientist, this was a challenge that I could not turn down. And I still remember my professor at the Cancer Institute. He once said to me, "Maria, you know what? Your research never comes further than the technology brings you. So to do a good job in science, you need great tools. Tools that over centuries have been developed for all other fields in medicine, but not for addictive disorders. Ask yourself again, why? Could it have to do with shame?" With a tiny, tiny team, with our backpack loaded with passion and curiosity, we started out our journey to identify relapses before they occur. It was not a straight line. It was more like this roller coaster. One day high up here, absolutely sure that we could make it. The day after, a silly idea. So you can imagine the day when we realized that we actually had found the first digital biomarker in the world for alcohol addiction. A digital biomarker, when we put the name on it, when we realized that it was a digital biomarker. Why I get so excited has again to do with my background as a cancer scientist, because it were the traditional biomarkers that open for where we are today when it comes to modern cancer treatment, both when it comes to early detection, but also when it comes to treatment. And what we today call precision medicine. Could precision medicine also be something for this patient group? Close after, we reached another milestone. We could, in a collaboration with artificial intelligence and the big data we collected, actually identify a relapse before it occurred, 3 to 5 days in advance. And you can imagine this enables right treatment to the right patient at the right time. Another day I always will remember was the day when we received the most prestigious prize you could get in the Nordics as a startup within e-health. We had been celebrating so much that we were finalists, and we could not even in our wildest imagination think that a company working with alcohol addiction could win. So I had not even prepared a speech. Again, I jump into things that most people don't, and I'm sometimes naive. And there I was in the opening ceremony of one of the biggest conferences of the year when it comes to health technology and medicine. And on the stage with me, the Minister of Health, and in the audience, I think it was 3,000 to 4,000, all waiting for a speech. I spoke. I still don't remember what I said though, but it was a magic day and it was fame. But it was not only a big day for us, it was a big day for all those fighting addictions. And I still get warm and touched by all comments from people that I do not know of, but with one or another connection to addiction, that passed by that day to say thanks. Thanks for fighting for a patient group that no one is fighting for. It's time. Yes, I think it's time. Magic starts to happen when we dare to talk about things, when we share, when we get curious, when we try to solve instead of hiding. Shame makes us quiet. Fame makes us talk. And then they lived happily ever after. If it could be so easy. We have learned a lot from our research, like Tuesdays are the most sober day of the week. For some patients, the mood and habits go down as early as 2 to 3 weeks in advance of a relapse, and how sneak drink could look like. But no data in the world could help those that do not talk about the problem. Professionals that have built their career and research on self-estimation of how much were you drinking the last 14 days. You could try that out yourself. How much were you drinking the last 14 days? Please estimate in standard drinks per day. First you have to recalculate what is a standard drink, what day did I drink, then you have to fill in the form. And you realize it's pretty tricky, but it becomes even more tricky if you have an addictive disorder because denial is part of the disease. So data-driven approaches could be a threat. Those that believe that it should be absolutely voluntary, no measurement and no control. I just wonder how the diabetes treatment would look like with voluntary blood sugar measurements. I assume some patient would die, but patient also dies from alcohol addiction. Those that trust their gut feelings, since they've always done that, and according to them, it works perfectly fine. Not according to statistics, though. I would not like to go to that surgeon that go for gut feeling instead of X-ray. Would you? Scientific publications and prizes and awards are nice, but it's also important building blocks to take away the shame, to put light on a topic that no one wants to talk about. But what matters the most to us is that we have started a positive change for all those families out there and children, and there are quite many. And together with brave, curious, and passionate healthcare professionals, we have created thousands and thousands of sober days. Sober day could be the difference between life and death. One brave and fantastic family that was part of the first clinical trial once told how technology have changed their mindset at looking at addiction as a disease. When it becomes measurable, that you could follow trends, you could see patterns. They decided to be open, and you know what? The shame suddenly disappears. I ask you first, what can you do and what can I do? If you dare to look around you, you will have people that you care about and love that are suffering and fighting, at least according to statistics. If you dare, ask, not just once or twice, ask again. Help them to take the first step. The first step is so hard. It is so hard. Shame makes us quiet. Fame makes us talk. Do you get love letters at your job? I sometimes do, or we. At least I like to call them love letters because it means a lot to us. It's from patients that want to tell their stories or sometimes just take the time to say thanks. It's amazing and it empowers us. And it gives us energy to fight even harder for a patient group that not that many are fighting for. I do hope that it will be a difference in the future. And I hope that you will help me tomorrow. You can make a difference. I would love to share one of those love letters here today with you. I'm alcoholic. I have lost friends, job, family, and almost life. I've been at rehab and detox, not just once. I've decided to test something new on. I have 2 boys, 8 and 10 years old. I have lost contact with both them and their mother since long. But I have now suddenly started to win back land that I have lost. You are allowed to share our conversation. I decide to be completely open. If that helps others, that will help me.